Hey there, it is Anna Runyan from Classy Career Girl, and welcome to today's podcast episode. We are now recording live, so no more podcast replays. For the last few months, we've been doing some replays, but I am excited to get back to the normal routine and share with you some brand new podcast episodes. So today's podcast is an episode where I am going to walk you through my story of how I went from employee to entrepreneur, how I went from that steady paycheck and into my own business where now I'm in charge of my own paychecks as well, and creating a business and creating a profitable business and basically doing that all from nothing. So we're going to go over that whole story. And the reason I'm doing that is because I have been getting a lot of questions lately. If you have not listened to my podcast for the past few years, you may have missed that story. You may not know how I started Classy Career Girl, kind of the history. We've been doing this for a long time. This blog actually started in 2010. Classy Career Girl started way, way long ago. So I have been doing this for a long, long time, and I quit my day job in 2014. So have been doing this full time, running this business for over 10 years now. So I'm going to go through the whole story. Hopefully, this provides some inspiration and motivation for you because I know a lot of our podcast listeners are contemplating quitting their day jobs, or maybe you want to earn extra income on the side and eventually move into running a business full time. Maybe you're unsure with the current economy happening. Maybe you want to give yourself that safety net of having that income on the side as well. So if you do have to resign or you do lose your job, then you know that you have something on the side that can earn you extra income to be able to fund things, maybe something on your bucket list like travel or something or a house. Maybe you want that extra income. So all of those things are reasons that you should build something on the side. I'm a huge fan and proponent of building an additional side income, even if you have a full-time job. That is exactly what I did. So I'm going to talk to you all about that today. And I can't wait to hear from you about this episode, what you thought, what steps that you are taking as well. So for those of you that don't know, I worked for 8 years as a full-time consultant. I worked for a company called Booz Allen Hamilton. It is a consulting company, and I did consulting for the military. So I did financial management, very different than from my business, very, very different. Worked with a lot of numbers, millions of dollars, worked with Excel spreadsheets all day long. And I was in finance, and that's kind of the path that I took after I graduated from college. And I was good at finance, but I really didn't love it. So I knew at some point, there was probably about halfway through that career, I was doing a lot of traveling and just knew that this probably wasn't the long-term plan for me. It was a great first job out of college, and it kind of turned into what's next. I'm feeling burnt out. I don't want this to be my forever. My husband and I wanted to have kids someday. I could not see that job as a working mother. It just was not my future vision, but it was a paycheck. That's strictly what it was. I did not love my job. And through that process, I really discovered the process of figuring out what my ideal career was, doing a lot of the steps that I teach other people how to do. And that really brought me to figure out what my ideal career was, leading into becoming a career coach myself, and now certifying other career coaches here at Classy Career Girl as well too. So a lot of the times when you're starting a business, you're just kind of like a few steps ahead of your clients. And that's how I was in those early days too. I had kind of figured it out. I had figured out what my ideal career path was, even though I did not know it. So I was very stuck. I was undecided in college. Even after graduation, I had no idea what I should do with my life. So I had to go through a lot of those steps that I wish I would have known how to do earlier. And hopefully now those steps are available on our website and our membership site, and now through our other career coaches that can help you and support you as well too. So we can make this a lot easier. So I went from corporate consultant, and I did not plan to become an entrepreneur. That was not the plan that I thought I would ever be on. I'm an introvert, and so I thought you had to be an extrovert to be an entrepreneur. I did not know how to sell or anything like that. I went into business school because I got my MBA at University of California, San Diego part-time. So I would go to my day job during the day. In the evenings, I would go to business school twice a week. and was very, very busy. Was what but there was a crazy time. This was before kids. But I thought that if I got my MBA, then I would figure out what I should do with my life after that. So I thought that there would be some magic light bulb during my business program where I would figure out what that career was for me. And the truth was, just getting an MBA wasn't that magic pill that's going to help me figure out what I should do with my life. But I did learn a lot through that experience. There was one pivotal group project that I did one time during that program. It was in a marketing class, and we had to do some research and about marketing for this project. We were trying to sell baby clothes in our group in our MBA program, and my job was to research blogs. This was in 2006 and 2008, maybe actually, no, I think it was more like 2010, that time period. And so blogs were really, really popular. And my job was to research blogs and see how we could use blogs to sell baby clothing items. And through that project, I realized, wow, people are blogging and making an income, and this is their full-time job. This is the job I want. Like, that is so cool. And so sometimes when you see other people with neat jobs or jobs that you're like, I want to do that job. That's a key. That's a light bulb moment. And that was what it was for me when I saw other people doing these jobs and me learning and seeing like, how are they doing that? Okay, they're publishing multiple times a week. Okay, that's what I would need to do. And that next week, I had a week off of business school, still had my day job, but I had my nights free. And in those evenings, I started my own blog. And that's where Classy Career Girl was started. And I really didn't know what it was going to be someday. I had no idea. I just knew I'm just going to start publishing a few blog posts per week. I'm going to share with others what I wish I would have known when I was just starting my career, and hopefully help other young professional women. And that was really how it all started. A couple years in, I was very burnt out at my day job. And I just realized like I want to make this my full-time thing, and started an email list. I started to talk to other career coaches, start to talk to other entrepreneurs, and just absorb as much information that I possibly can. I would immediately turn on a podcast. The first one I remember was The Smart Passive Income with Pat Flynn. I would listen to when I would drive home from work and I had a long commute. I would listen to that podcast when I would drive into work. And so I really treated myself like when I clocked out of my day job, I treated myself as an entrepreneur. I was an entrepreneur. I was a career coach. I was going to make this my business. And so those were some of the key starting points in my journey. The blog started in 2010. I would say about 2012 is when I really was like, I'm going to make this a business, and this is going to be my long-term career. Somehow, some way, I know it's going to be a lot of baby steps. I know I have no idea how to do this. I'm going to have to learn how to start a business. I'm going to have to learn about social media and online marketing, all of that stuff. I had no idea how to do any of that. And I started taking clients in the evenings. I started to create an online course and host those calls for that online course. My first course was called the Get Unstuck Boot Camp. It was 5 calls, and I think it was like $100 or something like that. And 4 people joined. And I was like over the moon because when you get that first sale, when you make one sale, you do one thing, you got one client, whatever it is, you're like, it's gonna happen. I can do this. If I can make one sale, I can make more sales. It's kind of like that fear conquered. And so from that point, I had that online course that turned into one-on-one career coaching clients. And so I was starting to get my feet wet. As soon as I started to have those clients, I could start to say I'm a career coach, right? Because I was a career coach. I had learned how to create an online course and how to sell that course so I could continually sell that. I was still just absorbing information, learning from others, getting mentors and coaches, and I learned how to do a sales call, which was so uncomfortable for me to sell. But I had to learn that because what I realized is that the more I sold, the more people I could help, right? This was all a part of my mission, a part of helping people, because in my day job, I just felt like I was sitting in a cubicle crunching numbers. I did not feel like I was making an impact or helping anyone. And so I really started to grow my social media then as well too. I grew my email list. And I also started to save. So my husband and I started to really work on saving as much as we could. We started to we got out of debt as well too. We had a lot of debt at that point in our lives, but we just knew, okay, this is our vision. This is where we want to go. We have to reduce the debt. We have to start to build our savings so we can really plan for a future that we want. And so we started to set those financial goals. This was all before I quit, but we really kind of created that plan, that vision, like our dream, like what do we want our future to look like? And gradually, then I started to experiment by creating more group coaching programs and online courses, and like really starting to figure out my niche as well too. So I did a lot of different types of career coaching. I did productivity coaching. Did leadership and executive coaching. I did a lot of speaking as well too, at professional organizations, at universities all over the country. And so I was really trying to just figure out like what do I really enjoy? What do I like talking about? What type of coaching do I like to do? I was doing job search coaching, helping people with resumes and interviews. And then I was also doing business coaching as well too. So helping people really go from employee to entrepreneur. And so I launched a membership site in the beginning, and that was really helpful because then I started to have that recurring revenue coming in. So I always like to help people create membership programs, online courses, and group coaching programs because that is a way that we can start to have monthly recurring revenue. So when I quit my day job after maternity leave. So my daughter was born in 2014, my first daughter. And she was born in June, and I quit after maternity leave in August. But I knew going into maternity leave that I wasn't coming back. And so that really was because I spent that year before quitting, I spent that year knowing, okay, I have a plan. This is my date. This is my date, my due date. Like, I'm not going back. I got to figure out before my daughter's born, I got to figure this out so I can have that income coming in. And during maternity leave, I was building an email list. I was dabbling in ads. That was really the first time I started dabbling in ads. But before that, I grew my business without ads. So you don't need to do ads to grow your business. But I did need ads during that time just because I was going on maternity leave. So I needed to be off social media for like those 6 to 8 weeks. So I was able to use those ads to start to build my email list. And then when I was ready to go back to work, then I had an email list and I had applications of people that wanted to work with me all ready to go. And so my business was really um, surviving and cash flowing. Even when I quit my day job, I had clients. And so that was really, really helpful. I knew that we were going to be okay. But the challenge was then a couple months later, my husband decided that he was going to quit his day job as well too, so he could help in the business, and then we could watch our daughter together. And so that was kind of an exciting, scary leap because I knew we had about 90 days where I knew, okay, I had to um, figure out this newborn life as a new mom, but then I also had to grow my income as well so that I could provide for our family. And then he could be able to quit his job as well too. So that was like a very exciting time in our life. So he quit right at the beginning of 2015. And we have been running our business full time ever since then. So that's really like the beginning, the foundational years of Classy Career Girl. They were fun, they were exciting, they were scary, they were ups and there were downs. But I'm so glad that I worked on my passion project. I called it like on the side of my day job. So I knew when it was time, I knew I had the clients, I knew I had that income coming in, that I could work on something I was really passionate about and excited about. And it was so fulfilling to me. And I had that plan and I just followed that plan. So there was that time, of course, there where I knew that I could not do that 9 to 5 forever. I really wanted the freedom. I really wanted flexibility. It took us a few years to be able to have my first daughter. It was not easy process for us to get pregnant. And so I knew when she was coming and she was healthy and everything was working out, I knew that I wanted to be there for her, and I knew I didn't want to go back to my day job. So there was a lot of fears, of course. There's imposter syndrome. There's the financial fears, having that consistent and steady income. Who am I to do this? I remember getting invited to some speaking events. One was in Brazil. And I'm like, they want me? Why me? Why do they want to fly me out to Brazil to speak to their international business conference? So I had to get over that. I mean, I had a coach tell me one time, imposter syndrome is never going to go away. There's always going to be another thing you're reaching for, another goal, another feeling of just like this, I just feel like a fake, and you just have to learn. Once you learn it one time, then we can keep doing it year after year to keep moving out of that imposter syndrome and keep moving forward, even though our mind is telling us that we're not good enough. So I started building that blog on the side, and then that turning point really was, knowing that maternity leave was coming and knowing that I did not want to go back to the day job. I would have been traveling. I have no idea how I would have survived that first year. I would have had to travel. I would have had to work really, really long hours. This was back. I have no idea how I would have handled breastfeeding and nursing and pumping. I was in like this government facility. It would have been, I was very nervous about all of that as well too. So it really just inspired me to really focus on building my cash flow. And I had a goal income of what I needed to make so that I could quit my day job as well too. So I knew I had a goal savings that we needed to have, and then I knew I have a goal monthly revenue coming in as well. There were a lot of budget cuts at that time. There were savings though. Like when I did quit my day job, I could stop buying my fancy suits that I had to wear to the office. I could stop the fancy lunches that we would do going out to lunch. There were savings. There was the savings of gas. I didn't have to go drive to work anymore. And so there's pros and cons of it as well too. And then we created that quit fund. So we knew we had the funds. We had some savings for when obviously we had a new baby coming, but then also we knew I was going to quit my day job, and then we had to save again because then when my husband quit his job, that was another exciting but scary moment too. And we were always kind of moving through these scary times, and we always ask ourselves, what is the best that could happen if we do this? What is the worst that could happen? And is it worth it to go all in? And those were kind of the questions that we asked ourselves. We're like, is it, do what's the best that could happen if he quit his job as well too, and we both did this business full time? What is the best that could happen? What is the worst that could happen? Obviously, the best that could happen is we could travel the world and we could have this, business that provides for our family, but we also have the freedom and flexibility, to spend our days how we want to and to be in charge of our own schedule and not have to sit in traffic all day. And the worst that could happen is the business wouldn't work and we would have to go find another job. And is it worth it to go all in? And we decided, yes, it was worth it to go all in. I mean, I'm a career coach. If I needed to find a job, I could find a job. I can help my husband find a job, right? Like that's the worst that could happen is we just go find other jobs. So it really wasn't, this crazy thing in our heads. We just had to just take steps forward and take it like one day at a time and stay focused on our vision board and our vision of like where we wanted to go and really obviously clearly communicate what the plan was to keep looking at that budget as well too. And so there was a lot of teamwork in there as well too. Um, and that's how, I finally, he quit his job, I quit my job, and we just went all in together. So we also had that lean budget and we stuck to it. So that's important to be able to be looking at not only your business income and expenses, but also your personal income and expenses as well too. So there was some cuts that we had to make. I mean, we sold a car. We were living, we had two cars at one time. So and we realized, okay, so if he quits his job, we don't need two cars anymore. So that's like a sacrifice that we had to make at that time too, is, my husband had to sell his car. So there were sacrifices, there's pros and cons, but the pros definitely outweighed it because then, we had that time freedom. We could go for walks in the afternoon. Like even now we do tennis Tuesdays, so we play tennis in the mornings with the kids and yeah, I'll have a future episode on what life looks like now. I'm kind of just talking about 2014, 2015. But I'm excited to do another podcast episode. And so you can kind of see the beginnings where this all started, but then 10 years later, what life looks like. And I had no idea in 2014 what life would look like in 2025, right? And so because of the hard work I was putting in, even a couple of years earlier in 2012 and 2013 and 2020 or 2011, putting in the work then, not knowing what the future would be, but just having that kind of vague vision of what I wanted in the future. And so, um, building income streams was really important. I'm really glad that we focus on building multiple income streams so I don't just rely, and I never did just rely on one-on-one coaching, but we also created those courses and those membership programs and the group coaching programs as well too. So that was really key for us back then to be able to have that income coming in. And it is scary. I know it's scary and it's thrilling at the same time. And so I love that part about it. I love the problem solving that goes into it. Like if there's a hard month in business, you just kind of go back to the drawing board and you say, okay, what else? What are some other problems I can help people solve? Or what are some other products or service that we can sell as well too? And so there's just this like constant challenge almost, but it's like a fun challenge because you get to use your brain to create new things and to create new products. And that's been a really fun process. It's ever evolving. Even back in those early days too, and working so hard and but being so excited about the work that we were doing. Like when I would go to my day job, I would work really hard all day but it wasn't challenging. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't my passion. But when I would come home and be able to work on my business, it was so exciting and I was so passionate about it. I could literally do it for hours and hours and not get bored. So that's the exciting thing. I want you to know that you're not alone if you want to do this leap as well. Many of us have made this leap, and so can you. My goal really is to help you each week in this podcast to get you closer to that goal to guide you through the path. That's why we've created the Corporate Rescue Plan Success Path. And that's really the path to go from employee to entrepreneur. And it's step by step. So it's not just like joining a program, being like, okay, what do I do? But it's like checklist, like here's exactly the steps that you need to take. Only takes 10 to 15 minutes a day. I know you don't have a lot of time. So that would be my encouragement to you is to go on that success path. Join me for my webinar where I walk you through how to go from employee to entrepreneur. If you're listening to this when we recently publish it, we have a live webinar happening. It's actually happening very soon. So if you go to www.classycareergirl.com/CRP webinar, you'll be able to register for that live webinar that's coming up. So definitely go to that page, whether it's live, whether it's recorded. It's going to be really helpful for you to watch. It's a very, it's just 1 hour of your time. And I'm going to walk you through each of the steps to go from employee to entrepreneur, from the very founder stage where you have no idea what you should do, then all the way to being able to make impact and having that profitable income as a business owner as well too. So hopefully I will see you at that webinar. Send me a message on Instagram if this has been helpful for you. I'm at Classy Career Girls, so make sure you're following us there. And hopefully this has been helpful for you. I will be doing more podcasts, more recent podcasts where I'll be sharing a little bit more about life now, what that looks like 10 years down the road as a business owner with 3 kids and homeschooling and all that stuff too. So I'm excited to share more about that. I'm going to do a podcast about how we traveled around Europe last year running our business as well too. So there's a lot of fun brand new episodes that we have in store for you. And I hope that this has been helpful. I totally encourage you to go for it. If you're thinking of going and starting your business, you don't have to like quit your job tomorrow and go all in on your business, but you can make those baby steps, that small progress every single day to start to build that income up so that you know when it is time. And trust me, you'll know when it's time. You'll be able to submit that resignation letter and know that you have that steady income coming in that's consistent and that revenue that's going to provide for you and your family. All right. I will talk to you guys later. Bye, everyone.